Yes, I can.
You started off with JD.
Absolutely. Hey, Josh, I have a hitting question for you in general before we get to any other topics. The last four-game stretch you are on right now, you are 6 for 15 with a couple of home runs. And I'm just wondering, when you get into good hitting stretches like you are in right now, is there a different kind of rhythm to it, or does the baseball look different to you? How do you describe these good hitting stretches?
Yeah, I mean, I think it's executing on pitches that I'm looking for in the zone, and when they show up, not fouling it back. Most of the time when probably not getting the results that I want, I'm getting those foul offs more than the square, solid contact. And in the last 4 days, like you mentioned, I've been hitting some balls pretty hard.
So would this stretch of four games sort of fall into one of those categories of you in a, whatever you want to call it, groove at the plate?
I mean, I felt like probably since Kansas City, when we went to Kansas City, I felt like I started feeling better at the plate. And I don't know what my numbers are speaking from that day forward, but I felt pretty good, and I felt like I've been making pretty good contact.
Josh, what did you make of Lucas Giolito's comments last night after the game?
Yeah, I thought it was interesting. First off, I think he calls me a pest, right? Which is fine. Like, I kind of almost consider that a compliment. Like, you're not really supposed to like me being on the opposing team, so I'm fine with that. Couple of things I have a problem with. He calls me classless, to where I didn't think that I was showing him up during the game. I was talking to my bench. I didn't pimp a home run. I wasn't talking to him, saying anything. I mean, obviously, he showed offense to what I said, which I think kind of speaks more about the looming question that's going on anyhow, which is more about, was he using sticky stuff before this all happened in the first place? If he wasn't, then he probably wouldn't have cared about that comment, right? And so when you look at it, you say, all right, let's go look at his numbers. What do the numbers say, right? And what do we know about the sticky substance? What does it do? What does it help with? It helps with RPMs. It helps with spin rate. Well, guess what? Mr. Giolito, your fastball spin rate's down 200. Your curveball spin rate's down 400 or 500. Your slider's down 200. So, look, if we're going to talk about class, what side are you going to choose? Are you going to take the side of someone who's playing the game fair? Or are you going to take the side of somebody that was probably cheating before this happened? And I wasn't going to go on air. I already knew all those numbers before all this. I could have came out to the media and said this and spoke on it before. I chose not to, right? I say that to my dugout because we all talk about it before the game. Trust me, it's a hot topic among all of baseball. And if you go look at my at-bats prior to last night off Lucas Giolito, I hadn't taken many swings like that off Giolito. The first pitch I see, I take him deep, and a ball that I hit 111 miles an hour. I'm kind of giving more reassurance to our dugout, like, hey, let's go. Like, let's go get him. Because Lucas Giolito the past few years has been, a pretty good pitcher, and he's been tough, I'm sure, on this team as well as a lot of other teams. And the last thing that I had he said, I wish he'd say it to my face, right? Well, I did say it to his face. We had a talk last night. And let's just be quite frank with this. He didn't have much to say. So it's real easy to sit here behind a screen and talk tough. That's not what I was trying to do. I could have did that before the game. I could blast him all I want. I could blast a lot of guys. I choose not to. Okay. So I think this should just be Uh, I didn't think it was that big of an issue. Obviously, he did.
Josh, I don't need all the details, but I'm guessing that happened after the game last night. And who initiated the contact between you guys?
Yeah, it happened after the game. I did. He was walking to the parking lot and I saw him and I went and made sure he heard what I had to say to his face. Because that's what he wanted. That's what he wanted. Right?
Josh, you had mentioned
Have you felt?
Josh, you had mentioned before the Yankees series that in addition, I mean, that was when Cole specifically came up, but you had said you were tracking something like 12 other guys. Was he one of those guys? And I guess in expressing this to your teammates, was that in expressing this to your teammates, I think what the mics picked up was it's not sticky anymore. Was that in reference to Giolito or more general, the White Sox, or to the game in general right now?
Oh, no, it was definitely what I said was more pertaining to my at-bat at that moment. It was kind of more like it just to our team, right? Because it's something, like I said, it's a hot topic among a lot of clubhouses. But like I said, I have I think it was like 150 guys on a list right now that I've been tracking and that I know that have increased spin since 2017. So like I said, I could sit here and name every single one of them, but I think Major League Baseball, and look, people are looking at me like I'm making this rule. I'm saying like, hey, I didn't make the rule. I'm just going out there and letting people know like this is something that was a problem, right? I think Major League Baseball is doing a great job of cracking down on this. I think that you've seen, if you go look and you do some investigation throughout the major leagues, spin rates down, which I think for hitters it's going to be a good thing. Small sample size right now. We're going to see what happens. I mean, I think you look at what happened last night. Giolito had 1 strikeout. He had 9 swings and misses. It was his lowest all year long, minus the fact that he went the game that he pitched at 11 o'clock in the morning in Fenway, where he got taken out, I think, in the first inning, or it might have been 1+. I'm not sure, but needless to say, I felt like we were taking pretty good swings all night long. We ran into a couple outs last night, trying to be aggressive, and we hit into a couple double plays. Minus that, like, to get this back in perspective, hitting is still by far the hardest skill to do in the world. And Giolito can still pitch. He's got a good changeup. He's got a good fastball. But without this, I think what you're seeing is, and what fans want in the game is more contact. Guess what? There was more contact in the game last night. Less swings and misses. And I think you're going to see that throughout the course of the year for the remaining. I think guys are still going to punch out and guys are still going to be able to pitch well. But if you ask not just myself, but a lot of guys in our locker room, and I'm sure in other locker rooms, it is different right now in the batter's box with being able to identify pitches and swinging at pitches right now.
Hey Josh, going off of that, we can see the spin rate. It's obviously been lower, but stepping in yesterday, how visually different was the movement on his pitches versus what you've seen from him in the past?
Well, I mean, I think you can go and look at yesterday, for an example, the fastball up per se, right? I didn't see any swings and misses on fastballs up yesterday, where he normally gets swings and misses up there, and he gets check swings up there, to where that's where you get that hopping effect from the spin rate. The slider yesterday, he had a couple swings and misses, but I hit a ball to right field off of him and a ball to left field off of him that I felt like I just missed. And I felt like I put some pretty good passes on it. I felt like some other guys put some good swings on them. And I felt like overall he was able to manage and still pitch and do his job. But I felt like offensively we were right there.
Josh, that chat in the lot you had last night, how would you characterize the tone of how you two came away from it? Was there some level of understanding by the end, or how did that pan out in your mind?
Good question. I mean, it wasn't. He didn't have really much to say. You know, he said that he thought it was annoying. I said, so what? I'm on the opposing team. What do you care about me? I said, I'm in your face. I'm telling you what I think. What do you got to say about that? And he didn't have any response.
Hey, Josh, you Sunday before the game, trying to get the guys motivated. Obviously, it's a big part of the schedule. You said as you're coming across the plate, you're trying to get the guys fired up. How much is motivation factor playing into all this?
Say the last part.
How much is just trying to get the guys motivated playing into the way you responded in all this?
Yeah, I mean, that's a huge part into it. I'm trying to get our boys fired up and ready to go. We're at a point in our season which is critical. This is do or die for us. And going through this stretch, and we're playing with a sense of urgency right now to go out there and win ball games. And you know, me talking to my teammates and me trying to encourage them and getting them fired up, like that's part of my job. That's why I'm here.
Josh, I know that baseball's traditionally been a sport where things are, maybe aired out in clubhouses, maybe kept out of the public, things like this, maybe kept out of the eye to a certain extent. And you had mentioned this is something you intended to be said to your teammates to fire them up. Mm-hmm. How do you just feel about, you're sitting in the Zoom room right now, but everything that somebody has to say about this, blowing up into something where you're sitting in the Zoom room addressing this to the media. How do you feel about this, I guess, blowing up and playing out in the public eye like this?
Yeah, I think, at the end of the day, it's probably good for TV, but at the end of the day, that wasn't my intentions. My intentions are to try to get out there and, motivate our team also to play well. My intention was not to show up Lucas Giolito, but he took it that way. And he has his own right to feel and think whatever he wants, right? And what he said is more what he has a problem with what I said on the field, and I have a problem with what he has to say in the Zoom room. And that's okay. Like we're not supposed to like each other. He's on another team, I'm out there competing. I'm out there to win ball games. You go check my track record. You got a lot of people talking a lot of shit about me for somebody that's a 3-time All-Star and an MVP. I'm not here to boast my own self, but like people forget, quit. And, I got Ozzie Guillen talking shit on the air saying that I'd let one go and hit him in the ribs. Ozzie Guillen, you were under a career 700 OPS hitter, man. Like you were a 3-time All-Star and you had under a 700 OPS. My worst season in the big leagues is 150 points higher than that. And this is also coming from the man that said he loves Fidel Castro. That's who we're taking advice from. Like, what are we doing around here? Come on. People got to start realizing, you talk about 95, 98 mile an hour balls getting thrown at people's ribs. The same guy from New York said the same shit about me. Oh, hit him in the ribs. Hey, I'm just trying to make the game fair. I'm talking about, I didn't make the rules. Buck Showalter saying, oh, hey, Josh, if you want to make the game fair, take off batting gloves and quit using pine tar. I don't use pine tar, first off. I use some spray. But if they tell me in the rule book not to use batting gloves, or they tell me not to use spray or pine tar, guess what? I won't use it. I'm not the one that's not playing against the rules. These guys have been, and trust me, a lot of people are upset about this. A lot of people didn't know about it until it started getting attention drawn to it. And at the end of the day, now people are seeing the changes. They're like, oh, okay. Guys throwing no hitters, guys perfect games, going out there making a lot of cash off of who? The hitters, right? Who are they making more money than? The pitchers that are pitching clean. So there's a lot of people, it's not just me, that are upset about this.
How difficult was it? I know you were in the middle of your treatment last night to not respond last night. Did you want to get your message out last night, or that process?
I mean, honestly, I didn't know how big of a deal it was until I got people, and then I heard. I didn't really catch his comments till I was like kind of getting close to leaving. And I was like finishing up some of my treatment. And at that time, I felt like there'd been too much time that had passed in between. So I was like, look, I'm just going to let it slide tonight, sleep on it, kind of get my thoughts together about it. And, that's why we did it today.
Josh, how'd your talk with Rocco go about this?
About Rocco?
So how'd your talk with Rocco go on this subject? I'm guessing you guys talked about this.
No, we haven't spoke about it yet. Yeah, but I mean, Rocco and I have been talking about, a lot of stuff lately, and here's the deal. I understand that, pitchers are having a tough time dealing with this, right? And somewhat I feel like, all right, like, no, I don't really feel like anyway, but at the end of the day, like, hey, you got to play by the rules. That goes for our team, that goes for their team, that goes for whoever's team. And like I said, I've said this, made it very clear. Hitting is the hardest thing in the world to do. And to add more difficulty to this is, I think, why you've seen the game where it's at.